All right, everybody, welcome once again to another installment of Monica at Home. I suppose I should call this one Monica at Home Scandal Edition. I am Alexandra, better known as Monica Foster, from my official website, www.monicaf.com. But of course, the website that I made specifically for these broadcasts, www.monicaathome.com. Now, today I'm very, very excited about this broadcast. As you can probably tell, I'm sitting here grinning from ear to ear because I have a live, quite the mysterious guest on the show tonight. He is known as Lacy Burke, and he just, well, not just released, but he recently released a true porn industry into the mainstream crossover type project. It's an independent film by the name of Car Date. Now, hopefully some of you out there have been following my Twitter and following my blog, so you have an idea as far as what this particular project is about. And if you haven't, make sure that you visit the official website for the project, which is www.cardatemovie.com. Now, I'm not even going to get into the premise of the movie yet. I'm going to allow my guest on the show tonight, Lacy Burke, clue everybody in as to what the movie's about. But what I will say is that even though it hasn't been overly promoted by either the adult media or the mainstream media as of yet, it's already started to stir up quite a bit of controversy and drama. There's a lot of questions that people have about the movie. Just to kind of give you all an overview as far as what I'm going to be covering, I'm going to discuss whether or not the main characters of the movie were aware as to what the project was about, what's happened ever since the project has been released. I'm going to discuss with my guest tonight, Lacy Burke, some of the truths opposed to some of the rumors and maybe some, untruths, I don't even know if that's the right term for it, that have been circulating about his behavior toward the main characters. Oh, well, they're not even characters because it's a reality-based film from what I'm aware of. Let's see, what else am I going to discuss? Well, nobody knows even what this guy Lacy Burke looks like. That's the big mystery to me. He's going to be joining us today via phone instead of, Skyping in or video conferencing in. So rather than me even discussing any more about this, let me go ahead and welcome Lacy Burke. Are you there?
Well, thank you. Thank you for putting me on your blog today. I have to tell you, this is my first interview. I'm a little nervous.
Okay, well, great. First, let me make sure everybody I want you to make sure that you speak up, because I do have you on speakerphone. I'm a little ghetto over here. But,
okay.
All right.
Can you hear me much better now?
Oh, definitely. Can you guys out there, can you hear him? I just want to see if they can hear you. Lacy and I have not discussed anything at all prior to this interview because we figured it would be way better if it was kind of off the cuff. So, my first question to you is, being that you somehow have been able to stay off the radar, I haven't been able to find a photo of you, any previous interviews with you, no video footage, not even any kind of photo of you on like a social network like Facebook or MySpace. I have to ask, are you an actual individual, or are you somebody who is like a front man or a representative of a larger entity, a corporation, an up-and-coming studio? What's going on with that?
That's a very good question. And, to those that just joined the chat room, my movie essentially is about controlling women's minds to get laid. That's essentially what my movie's about. Before we start talking about it, that is a good question. I'm very lucky to have had my movie promoted at Sundance and get into two prestigious festivals, Las Vegas Film Festival and a festival in Florida. And I made this movie. I'm a regular guy. I know my name sounds like a porn name. I get that a lot. Lacy Burke sounds like a porn name, but it's not a porn name. My mother was just a crazy hippie, and that's the way I got that name. It's not a business entity. I live in an apartment, and that's where I'm talking to from right now.
Okay, okay, but why is it that, I mean, have you just gone to tremendous efforts over time to protect your identity? Because in the actual movie, we never see you. You know, as far as I know, the only people who are aware of what you look like would be the two main characters in the movie, who are Charlie Laine and Victoria White. And they're both fairly well-known porn stars. Are we ever going to see you?
Well, you know what? I actually intentionally made the choice not to be seen in the movie because I thought it would be much more interesting if the viewer could kind of be me and not know what I look like. So I'm really just the brain that's explaining the psychology that I use to manipulate these women's minds into getting sex. And so I purposely chose not to film myself. And I told the cameraman never to film me and just pointed to two subjects. And that's how the film started. I thought it would be much more interesting if you didn't know who I was. But what ends up happening is the viewer, while I'm using psychology to manipulate the women, the viewer is actually watching the movie and they're making opinions about me. The movie premise is me manipulating women, but the viewer is actually looking at me and passing judgment on me and trying to decide if I'm going to get laid, if my tactics work. They're making judgment calls, and it's really interesting to not be a face and have all of these people think weird things about you or wonder about you, and they don't know who you are.
That is interesting. It's actually, it reminds me of quite a popular niche of porn, which is something called point of view porn, POV porn. And, you know, it's actually ironic that you chose porn stars and that you utilize that format, but yet it's a mainstream movie. And for those of you who are not aware, Car Date, the movie, is available on iTunes. But you didn't quite answer my question. Why isn't there any photo of you online? If you're not comfortable answering, that's okay, but I do want to know.
I guess I'm not a popular guy. I mean, this is the first movie I've ever done. Like, I'm just a guy in an apartment in Los Angeles that took two porn stars for a ride.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Okay, now, let's see. The next question I want to ask you, I guess somebody would really have to be familiar with porn industry politics to be aware of what I'm getting ready to ask you. But what's interesting about the fact that you decided to feature porn star Charlie Laine in this movie of yours is that she is fairly well known as being a free speech coalition mouthpiece. And I am using the word mouthpiece because that's how I view it. But she was chosen to launch the public service announcements created by a director by the name of Michael Whitaker for the Free Speech Coalition about the concept of people pirating porn and basically encouraging people not to do it. She launched that PSA series back in 2010. But ironically, considering some of the backlash that she's giving you in regards to the movie and the fact that, and that's something else we're going to have to go into, and the fact that she wasn't allegedly fully aware as to the format of your movie, it seems kind of hypocritical to me. Because you are exercising your freedom of speech.
The girls knew what my movie was about. When I hired them, I went through Shiloh's agency, ATMLA, and what happened was I told her that I was filming a television show, a reality-based television show, and it was about a date. And she asked, she's like, well, what about a date? And I was like, no, I'm just going to go on a date with two girls in a car. Car Date.
Well, how did you first come across Shy Love at Adult Talent Managers LA when you decided to book these girls? Because from what I read on your website, initially when you decided, well, first, when did you launch the project? When did you have this brainchild? Because I know the release date was March of 2011. But when did you first have the idea to even do this?
the idea of Saw, where the whole movie basically takes place in one room, but I didn't even have enough money to do a horror, so your only choice is documentary.
How much money did you have to do this?
Huh?
How much money did you have to do your project?
Right. Hang on one second. So I decided to change the room instead of Saw, where it's in a basement. This movie takes place in a car, and I thought, what do people want to see? I was like, oh, they want to see hot girls, and I was like, well, how can this room move? And I was like, oh, I can go on a date with these girls, and then I can manipulate them and try to show people how I get laid. And I came up with that idea in December of last year, and I filmed the movie in one day, 7 hours, and I made the movie for $6,000.
Wow, well, it would have been December of 2010?
2011.
Oh, so, well, what was the March 2011 date?
Oh, yeah, December 2010, and it's filmed January 15th, 2011.
Okay, January 15th, 2011, okay. So now I read on your site, or at least on one of the press releases, that initially you were going to select regular actresses or just run-of-the-mill girls. Tell me about that process of figuring out, like, hey, maybe I need to work with adult entertainers.
Okay, here's what happened. I thought, I need to find girls who are not naive. So I thought, well, I was like, well, maybe models. And then I was thinking, I don't know if models are the right fit. And I was like, what girls? If people saw this movie and saw that I manipulated these girls, what girls are considered women that you can't manipulate? And I was like, porn stars. I was like, porn stars get hit on everywhere they go. They're not naive. They're very savvy. They make a living having sex. They can choose whichever man they want to be with. They have tons of choices out there. And I figured, you know what? If you could run game on two porn stars, then how can anybody dispute that? They're the toughest girls to run game on.
That's an interesting statement to me, just being that I am somebody who's worked as a porn star, who's worked in adult movies. I do want to interject my perspective on that. I can see how the mainstream populace would perceive porn stars as being, you know, the toughest of the bunch, but from my perspective, I kind of have to look at porn stars as possibly being a test subject pool, if you will, as a group of girls that would probably be more susceptible to manipulation, being that many, and not all, many women do make the actual choice of going to the business, but there's also a great many women who are manipulated by boyfriends or, you know, different channels into the adult industry. So I do think it was an interesting test subject pool, you know, the porn stars, but at the same time, I'm not certain that they're necessarily the toughest women to manipulate.
Have you ever met Victoria White? She will rip your fucking balls off.
I have not had the pleasure of meeting her. I haven't met Victoria White or Charlie Laine, so I couldn't say. But but that's an interesting perspective. Now let's cut to the present. Now right now, both Charlie Laine and Victoria White seem a bit miffed at you in regards to not being aware of the actual premise. Now, from what I read on your site, they were aware that this would be like a reality show. What did you initially tell them in order to pull them into your social experiment?
No, first of all, they were my test subjects for my social experiment of mind control on women. And I told Shyla it was just for a reality television show about dating.
Okay.
And I didn't tell her what it was about. And the day of the shoot, I hadn't met either of them, and I didn't know who they were. I didn't know. Afterwards, I realized they were pretty well-known porn stars, but I didn't know who they were when I first met them. So we parked in a van in front, in a parking lot. We all met in a parking lot. The two girls got in the van, and I was with my cameraman, and I told my cameraman, it was a third seating van, so the girls sat in the back, me and the cameraman sat in the middle row, and the hired sat in the front. And we pulled the headrests off, and we pointed the camera at the girls, and I just said, push the red button and let's start going. And he tells me, well, that's not how you film a movie, because I didn't even tell my cameraman what I was doing. I kept this
really?
what I was doing until this film was done and was in the can.
Wow. And just for those of you out there watching, and you know, whether you're watching live or later, if you go to cardatemovie.com, he does have the profiles of his team that he worked with, which I actually thought was really nice. I like that you put everyone's resume up there so they can get exposure. That's very nice. But that's interesting. I was under the impression that your whole team was aware of what was going on, but they weren't. That's interesting. And you had no idea.
Because if I told anybody what was going on, it wouldn't work and it wouldn't be genuine. That movie is not scripted. If you watch that film, you will see. What it does is we go around in the minivan to different locations for the date, and all you're seeing is the girls, and I'm talking to them. And over the girls, you hear voiceovers that will explain what tips I'm implementing to guide them in a certain direction towards liking me and eventually wanting to have sex with me. So there's also on-screen text. Like when the girls are thinking about something, the on-screen text will explain what they're really thinking, what the subtext of the conversation is. So throughout the entire movie, you hear my voiceover explaining what techniques I'm using to get these women, and then you see subtext on the screen that explains what's going through their minds.
Yeah, well, you really did break the girls down psychologically. Now, do you have any kind of psychology training or any kind of background, even if it's just on your own? Have you always been interested in psychology or anything along those lines?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people think mind control, and they go, oh, mind control, it's ridiculous, they laugh at it. But the truth of the matter is, mind control has been used for decades. The military uses it. Advertising campaigns use it. Congressmen use it. Politicians use it. Like when you watch a television show, or when you're watching a commercial, and you see a guy and his mouth is filled with cake, and the radio DJ calls him up and asks him a question to win $1 million, but he can't answer because his mouth is full of cake. And then they show milk, and it says, got milk? And so that commercial is basically telling you, anytime you have something sweet and fluffy in your mouth, you need to drink it with milk. Same thing with the gecko. If you think of a green gecko, you think of Geico. All of these commercials that you watch on a daily basis manipulate your decision to buy their product instead of another product. And the problem with my movie, the reason why it's so controversial is this. A lot of people think it is wrong and inappropriate to manipulate women. So it's not a good mainstream point of view. Most filmmakers wouldn't take the risks to do it. But I figured, hey, you know what, if I can make my sex life better by using psychology and manipulating women and controlling their minds, then why not?
Well, I think you're making some very interesting points here, but I do have to beg to differ in regards to this becoming a very acceptable movie for the mainstream, because I'm not sure if you've realized this, but you've actually done a lot of young women a tremendous service by creating this movie, at least in my opinion, because you are correct. There is such a thing as mind control, at least from my perspective. I'm actually somebody who's very into conspiracy, government programming, things, subject matter along those lines. And I don't know if you're familiar with the MK Ultra documents and experiments, and is it real, is it not? Lots of information online about it, but we're not going to talk about that today. I do agree with a lot of the triggers that you've identified and that are very evident and present within your movie. Now, something that I do kind of wonder, though, is that being that you've made this movie, I'm questioning whether or not you're going to receive some backlash from quite a few men out there who have been profiting for quite some time, creating symposiums and speaking. There's a lot of classes out there. I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, Mysterio and his little sidekick, Matador. They had this show back in, I believe, 2008 called The Pickup Artist. It was on VH1. And a lot of the techniques that, a lot of the techniques that you do utilize and that you outline and that you very eloquently narrate on your movie, Car Date, again, www.cardatemovie.com, are techniques that a lot of guys pay a lot of money to learn. You don't outline all of them. You don't go into detail as to what, a lot of mechanics and the technicalities about what you're doing, but a lot of the techniques that you use in your movie do mirror many of the techniques that quite a few guys spend a lot of money on their materials and their classes and their
Yeah, let me mention something about this. Here's the truth, okay? These guys, look, the game is a good book, and these pickup artists make these websites, make these forums where it explains to you how to get girls, but I wanted to take that idea and go to the next level and actually show myself using techniques to make women want to sleep with me. So if you rent Car Date, what you're renting is a movie about pickup artistry where I demonstrate the techniques that I use to get into bed with women. So, so instead of writing it as a book or making a DVD and explaining tips, I said, fuck it, what's the best way to show pickup artistry than to do it?
Well, you did a really good job, and for those of you who haven't seen the movie, and I doubt many people have, but I'm sure you will later, it's available on iTunes, and the way you marketed the movie I thought was brilliant, because, and I'm sure it's just like a platform also on iTunes, but you sell it to where you can own it, download it, watch it whenever you want. What is the price for if you want to own it opposed to a 24-hour view of it, which is what I did. I did a 24-hour view, and I think it was $3.99 or like $4.
You could rent the movie for $4, and you can buy it for $10 and own it on iTunes.
Okay.
This movie did get promoted at the Sundance Film Festival. This is the first movie with porn stars in it that got promoted at a Sundance Film Festival and was an official finalist in the Las Vegas Film Festival.
Wow.
And you know what? It's very sad. Okay, so we made the movie. Wow, there's a lot of people coming. So we made the movie, and if you're just joining us right now, my name is Lacy Burke. I'm the director and producer of Car Date, a movie about controlling women's minds to get sex. And my movie takes you on a ride in a minivan to different dating locations with two porn stars, Laine Victoria White, where during the date you hear my voiceovers explaining what I'm saying to these women and what I'm doing to these women to make them interested enough to want to have sex with me. And that is exactly what the film is about, the psychological manipulation of women's minds for the gain of sex.
Yes, it is, and it's very well done.
On iTunes, it's $4, and you can see it for 2 days. And if you purchase, it's $10. And
Now let's get to now, and again, it's cardatemovie.com. That's his website. This is Lacy Burke. He's very mysterious. He is a pickup artist. He touts himself as someone who's able to manipulate and control women's minds using certain psychological triggers and techniques. It's a very controversial movie because there are certain people out there who would look at this like, wow, these women are being exploited. I personally feel that this is a movie that every young woman out there should watch, mainly because it could teach you what to look for when you're dating somebody who might not be overly sincere. It could also be a good training tool for guys maybe who aren't sure how to talk to women, who want to get the woman to break down some of her barriers. This is a tool that could be used for the dark side of the force or the light side of the force. That's how I have to look at it, because
it's very controversial. You know, a lot of women's rights groups, a lot of like women's lib groups have contacted me.
Really?
And I get it. I got a death threat already, and people saying you're exploiting women, you're taking away women's sexuality, you're disgusting, you're not providing anything to the world. But look, if you're a man and you want to get pussy, you want to know how to get pussy. And you know what? No matter what a woman says, it's very easy for a woman to go out to a nightclub that she wants to have sex with. Because women have tons of choices to make. And they always say things like, oh, we just like nice guys. But the truth of the matter is, men have to make themselves stand out so that the women chooses to select them. Because ultimately, the women does choose who they want to have sex with. My movie shows you how to manipulate a woman's mind so that she chooses you to have sex with. Because look, there's nothing, the truth is, for men, we want sex and we want money. In our brains, we want to be providers, and that's why we want financial gain, and we want to procreate. Our brain says fuck, 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 fuck all day long. And so men out there, as bad as it seems, they want to have sex, they want to meet girls, and they want to have sex. And that's why I made this movie.
Okay, well, I do have to interject my view on this. I do believe that some of these techniques in this movie would work on a woman who has reached a certain level of maturity. I don't believe that these techniques would necessarily work on all women. Again, I will say that some of these techniques could be used as a tool for a guy who might not be socially adept. It could teach him how to break down some walls when it comes to speaking to women. But I also think that this movie could be utilized as a tool for women to look for certain signs in men. My dog's barking. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, let's pause. Panda, stop.
And the truth is that if women were able to look at this movie and like pick up some of the clues that I give, that I used to try to get laid, they might identify those and learn what men are doing out there to try to get laid. It could help them.
It will definitely help a lot of women.
To watch the movie, but that's a secondary reason to what the movie's about. But you are correct. It's a good way for women to watch and be like, oh, I know when a guy is saying this or when a guy is doing this, he's full of shit.
Well, one thing I also want to touch on too is that, you know, you were saying that you have received some backlash. Now, I do believe that you will receive a lot of backlash as well from women who deem themselves as people who are proponents for sex workers' rights, primarily because of your statement that you put in your press release about porn stars being, you know, the least naive of the bunch. I can understand your viewpoint, but you will have some people saying, you know, how dare you victimize these women, because the women, you know, and let's go ahead and cut to the feelings of, or at least the publicly made available feelings that I've learned of Charlie Laine and Victoria White. They have put out certain tweets in regards to this movie. They have said that they were used or tricked or victimized in this movie. But I do have to also say that both Charlie Laine and Victoria White will receive a tremendous amount of publicity from this movie. Charlie Laine has already been established in the...
The truth of the matter is, I knew when I was making the movie that when that movie was over, they were not going to be happy that they became test subjects of mind control over women.
Right.
What woman would ever want to be on recorded?
Well, you did turn them...
Have that be the theme of the film, and then watch it work on them, and they have to look at that movie and go, oh my God, we believed into what he was saying. You know, he really got us going, and then he made a movie explaining what he was doing to get us going. So right there alone, I knew that they were going to be upset once the movie was over. But just like you said, I knew that the publicity that this movie's getting, and it's big. I just got written up in the Miami Times yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I did 3 interviews today.
Wow.
And the press that it is getting is A, good for porn, and it's definitely good for Charlie and Victoria. They're going to have a lot of chances as this movie grows to make money doing other things.
Well, I suppose, you know, the moral, issue in regards to this is the fact that they were human guinea pigs, you know, however you want to look at it. And I have to say that because this was a social experiment, you know, in a way, and they were test subjects, and they have been tossed out into the spotlight. Now, do I personally believe that both women are going to be happy with the attention that they receive? A lot of women are going to hate on me for saying this, but I'm going to say, yeah, I think that they will.
I think they will too.
I also, but another thing that I want to touch on, though, and this was something that was in the beginning of the movie, and it's already out there now, so I don't think it'll ever be re-edited. But you do, from my perspective, kind of out the girls as being escorts rather than just porn stars in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Okay? Now,
no, I don't think that's true at all. I know
you specifically used the word escort.
Laine is not an escort, and maybe Victoria White is. I've heard some things about it, but when I first watched the movie, I only knew that they did it through porn. I didn't know anything else, and I don't think Charlie Laine is an escort. And Victoria White, I've heard something about it, but I don't really know the whole outcome. But other than that, when I saw them in the backseat of that car, I just knew that they were porn stars.
Okay. Well, just for the viewers at home, Victoria White is also simultaneously, along with being listed on atmla.com, she's also listed on theluxurycompanion.com. I'm sure she will become very popular now on both websites. However, Charlie Laine is only listed for limited availability on atmla.com. Limited availability. But let's see, what else did I want to...
So, let me tell you a few things. Like, when we were filming the movie, what did you see in the movie? Because, for all the people listening out there, it's literally a live date in a car. And most of the movie is the narration of the film that's explaining what I'm saying to these women. When you watched it, was there any questions you had about some of the things that I said to the girls? Or was there something interesting you wanted to point out in the movie to your viewers?
Oh, there's a million things I want to point out, but and for those of you who are watching, if you go to cardatemovie.com, there are snippets. There's behind the scenes footage. There's a preview, so you can get the gist of what it's about before you commit to buying it or anything. But so the girls were fully aware of that they were recorded the entire time, right?
Yeah, the video camera was not hidden.
Okay.
The cameraman was in the car with a big old clunky camera. It's not something that you can hide.
Okay.
They were fully aware they were being taped, and they thought it was a reality television show about going on a date. They did not know what the movie was about.
Yeah, well, see, that's what and also a friend of mine who has viewed some of it, we're wondering. So now that's been cleared up because, from what I've been able to see online, and all I can see are the tweets. I don't know what's going on in these girls' heads or anything, but they seem to be to feel like they were used, and that maybe they were portrayed in a light of which maybe they shouldn't have been portrayed in. But being that they were fully aware of what they were saying, I was actually very surprised in regards to Charlie Laine when she was talking about animals. The two girls, at one point in the movie, Lacy Burke decides to ask the girls what they want to do on the date, and Charlie Laine seems to come up with the idea that it would be cool to go to an animal shelter. She seems to be very about animals, saving the animals. She wants to save the animals. It's evident on her Twitter page, it's evident on her YouTube, PSA for the FSC. But what I personally was surprised to see, and I actually took offense to this, and I'm no angel, I've said things in the past myself, but considering that she seems to be wanting to be somebody who is trying to go into the mainstream, I would have thought that she would have been a little bit more conscientious in the fact that well, let me tell you all the situation. She's talking about animals. She talks about how she wishes she had a pot-bellied baby pig and that she would like a black one, and that she would call it Niglet.
Yeah,
that surprised me about Charlie Laine, and that actually made me re-examine many elements in the movie in regards to her personality and some things, but what did you think about that?
Well, first off, I really like both of the girls. Like, if someone, look, I know they don't like me, and I know they're upset, and I know they're offended, and if I was in their same position, I would probably feel the same way. But really had a good time. And after the movie was finished, just to show you how well my techniques work, my techniques worked so well that when the movie was finished, Charlie Laine started showing up at local bars in my neighborhood and pretending she was there by accident.
That's something that we need to talk about.
Going to through my Facebook page, and then she would send me texts, and she started like following me and showing up to where all me and my friends hang out.
Wow. Well, you know, let's to the people in the chat room. Let's move past the racist thing. I know y'all love me because I'm black, but but no, I was just surprised in regards to that because I did know that they were being filmed, and just to not single out Charlie, there was some behind the scenes footage. Well, not even behind the scenes, just footage of what's the girl's name, Victoria, saying some things in regards to Asian women, which I found surprising, being that this was something that they were aware might be on television. I was very surprised by that. But yes, let's cut now to all the rumors flying around. And you know, now you're saying that after this, I guess y'all exchange phone numbers and everything, and you might discuss where you hang out. So she starts showing up. So you're saying that, was she trying to be your friend? Do you think that she was falling for you? Let's talk about what happened after the movie, because this movie doesn't end up in the bedroom or at his house or anything. It just ends at the end of the car date. That's it. We don't know what happened. So
the movie ends where we go through the date, and by the end they want to sleep with me, and then the camera shuts off. And yeah, we exchange numbers, and then Charlie, I think she was interested because she kept sending me text messages, and she showed up to like three bars that I went to on nights where she knew I would be there. And you know, she actually got my Twitter account closed. We've gotten into some fights too. So when I first opened my Twitter account, she didn't like my movie so much so that she made some complaints to Twitter to take my page down, and they did. And I had to show Twitter that I own the content, that I own the rights to that movie.
okay.
But so as much as there was like some chemistry between us, there was also a lot of problems between us too.
What about? Oh, go ahead. Because you're already answering. I was going to ask about Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria. She just kind of went and did her own thing. I really like Victoria. She's really doing pretty well for her professional life. And you know what? I'm pretty proud of both of those girls. And Charlie Laine's working at Penthouse, and I really like them. Like, if you really take away the layers of what the film's about, I like them. But I know that the reason things are the way they are, where they really are pissed at me right now, is because of the content of my movie. They did not know that I was going to use this.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons aside from that that are a bit political and actually, you know, that have to do with money in regards to that also. Now, let me ask you, because I'm going to say that this movie is actually a tremendous piece of advertising for Penthouse, the Luxury Companion, ATMLA, the girls as individuals, you know, whatever, because this is their launch into mainstream, even though it's an indie film. Like you said, you had a lot of acclaim at Sundance and the other festival that you went to, so the Las Vegas Film Festival. Now, and if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to, but I do want to ask, were the girls compensated monetarily for this? Will they receive residuals? Or what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, first off, they should be very happy because this movie is really starting to take off. Like, I just got an email from a man in Italy today who told me he loved my movie so much that he wanted me to come travel down there, and he was going to make me pizza and take me on a journey through Italy. And I've gotten lots of people writing to me now, and it's crazy because, you know, all of a sudden now people are starting to hear about it, and people are watching it, and people are telling their friends, oh my God, dude, you got to see this guy. He takes advantage of these two porn stars, and he manipulates them into having sex with them. And the guy decides to make a movie about that. Especially since I'm one person who lives in an apartment that made this movie for $6,000, and it's my first film. To have what's happening to me is pretty amazing. But were they paid? Yes. I found Shy Love through a yacht, which
Oh, you met with her in person?
Huh?
You met with her in person?
Yeah, I met
Okay.
with Shy Love in person, and we spoke about, she had a list of 400 girls in her agency. Her agency's huge. And she went through this database, and she goes, I'm going to tell you about the personalities of these girls, and then you pick the looks of the girls. And so that's how we decided on Charlie and Victoria.
Okay.
And they were compensated, obviously, for rental of the agency, but all they thought is they were making a reality TV show about dating.
So they were paid a lump sum?
Yeah, they were paid a fee.
Okay. Now, are you currently aware that Shy Love has said on Twitter that she will not be booking any more girls to you? Now, Charlie and Victoria were the only girls that you hired through her?
That's correct.
Okay, because she's currently saying she's not going to book any more girls to you. Now, maybe she'll change her mind. I don't know.
Yeah, Shy Love is very upset with me. Shy Love is the sweetest woman. She is a fucking sweetheart, and she's gorgeous. But she's upset with me, too. This movie makes these women upset. I mean, if you were in this movie as a woman, you would feel the same way.
Well, let me tell you, I've actually been in a similar situation. It wasn't a movie, but for those of you who out there who know me and follow me, you know what happened to me from 2010 to 2011. I was, and my family were very exploited, slandered, and whatnot through something called Porn WikiLeaks. So I actually do know what it's like to be put under a microscope and analyzed, picked apart, how people really look at you without you having any control over it. So even though I can't relate exactly, I can't be, I think I have a unique perspective in regards to Charlie. Do I necessarily like her personality? From certain things I saw, I have to say no, but at the same time, am I somebody who's going to condone the fact that she has, and Victoria as well, even though it's not exactly to the same extent, has she been basically turned into a human guinea pig? I don't condone that, but do I think that she's actually somebody who's doing a great service to a lot of women out there in regards to learning how a man could, I'm not sure I want to call it mind control, but how a man could use certain embedded triggers within us as women in order to get a certain outcome. I have to say that she's actually done a tremendous service to a lot of women, whether she meant to or not. So
that movie is an excellent conversation speech for couples. People have come up to me already. Like now, people are starting to hear about the movie. Like
yes.
I'm getting phone calls here, or emails here, or press requests here. But when this movie does a great service to couples because you can watch it and you can discuss what's happening. Is this real? Do you do this to me? You know what? Oh, you're a jerk.
It makes you reevaluate. As a woman, it makes you really reevaluate certain men that you've dated. I know since I've watched and I've really had a chance to process it and go over some things, it's made me a bit suspicious of some men that I've dated, but it's also opened my eyes and made me very aware as to certain elements, and also how as a woman sometimes we play into the game ourselves, whether we are conscious of it or not. So it's a very interesting movie. But here's something I have to ask you, especially being that on your Twitter you have repeatedly said that you feel like this movie will revolutionize the porn industry. So before we even go into that, what are your thoughts on the current state of the Los Angeles porn industry, or just the porn industry in general?
Here's how I feel about the porn industry. First of all, Wicked sent out a public tweet saying that they retweeted one of my tweets of me promoting my film and showing one of my press releases. So Wicked Pictures showed some support to my film, which is really nice and really good to know. What I think about the porn industry is this: it's a necessity for life, because you know what? Whenever I'm dating a girl and I want to spice up my relationship, you put on porn. Porn is really healthy for relationships. But the problem with the porn industry is this: is that they have concrete blocks for heads. Because the thing is look, the industry is changing, and there's all these porn tube sites going up, and there's people watching porn for free without paying for it. No matter how many PSA announcements you make porn or not, it's happening. So there has to be new ways for porn stars to reinvent themselves and make money, like streaming shows online and different services like that. But look, Car Date is probably the best thing that could be happening to the porn industry. Hustler TV should call me up, Penthouse should call me up, they should all do interviews in their goddamn magazines. Because this is probably the best thing that could be happening for porn right now.
Okay, well, I actually, you know, I have my own views on some of that, but one thing that's happening right now, there's a lot of politics involved with your movie. And you might be aware, you might not be aware. Now, the fact that Wicked is endorsing your movie and saying, you know, commenting on it and, you know, basically giving you the green light and saying good job, that could work in your favor, because from what I'm aware of, Wicked is an FSC member, Free Speech Coalition member, as is Charlie Laine. Now, don't be surprised if suddenly Charlie Laine changes her tune. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened in the next couple of weeks, if not next few days. Now, being that this is your movie, you're already selling it on iTunes, I'm assuming that you own this movie completely. Now, here's something about the porn industry, and I want other people out here to be aware of this as well. The porn industry doesn't really like new ideas very much, especially when they don't have any stake in it. Now, here's something that I foresee happening in regards to the Car Date franchise, because if I were you, I would turn it into a franchise, and I'm sure you will. I think it could probably almost already be in the works when I really think about the timing of things. Someone in the porn industry is going to see your movie, and they are going to try to make something called Car Date XXX, or This Ain't Car Date, or This Isn't Car Date. They're going to make a parody of your movie. If you haven't already done this and taken it to the next level yourself, I don't know if you want to be in porn, if you want to be mainstream, who knows? I'm not even extrapolating, I'm just telling you what's going to happen. They're going to market their version, their parody version, exactly like how you have marketed your original version. They will take other well-known porn stars. Let's say maybe they'll take Brie Olson, and, you know, maybe it'll be a reuniting of Brie Olson and Caden Cross. I could see it happen. They're going to have some dude behind the camera, same thing, POV. But then, you know, they'll shoot their mainstream version, sell it on iTunes exactly like how you are, but then they're going to have what happened after, and they're going to sell it on their own adult website and make a killing.
That's good, because if they do that, then they have to pay me to do that. I own all the rights to
You better get a good attorney.
Huh?
You better get a really good attorney, and you should do it right now if everything is really reality. You know, I believe I'm in the Matrix. I don't know, but that's what's getting ready to happen if they haven't already started a game plan with this already. That's why...
the movie really is starting. Like, to tell you the truth, a lot of people always promote their movie and be like, oh, yeah, it's going here, it's going there, and lots of good stuff. But literally, my movie is really starting to take off. Like, with the press...
It's a very unique format.
And the people who are finding it. Like, I bet you all of these people in this chat room right now, all 360 of you, I bet you all of you are going to go to cardatemovie.com and at least watch the trailer, if not watch the movie. Because the movie about controlling women's mind for sexual gain is worth a $4 fucking rental. So if these big porn industries want a piece of Car Date, look, I'm for porn. I like porn. I jack off to Brett Rossi, okay? I jack off to Shy Love. But the thing is that if they want to make money off my film, if it gets bigger, they're going to have to pay the cost to do so.
And I think they should. And I think Shy Love, I'm not a fan of Shy Love at all. I'm going to say I am not a fan of Shy Love. I think that there are many things that she has said and done which I think have unfortunately been a bit detrimental to women. You know, you have your opinion. I think it's great that you're a fan of hers, but I think it's a shame that she has badmouthed you as much as she has on her Twitter, considering how much publicity she is receiving for her agency at this very moment. She shot herself in the foot.
She probably is in love with me. She says these hateful things, but truthfully, she loves me. But the truth of the matter is they're saying these things because they were taken advantage of. They were used for my film, but they are going to gain the notoriety that my film brings. And it's only going to help the entire porn industry. It's going to help Shy Love. It's going to help Charlie Laine and Victoria White the most out of anybody. But no, the person who's going to help the most is me.
Okay. Okay, okay. Now, let's see. What else do I want to ask you? There, I mean, we've covered so much, but well, let me ask you for your own. What do you plan on doing from here? Now, like I said, I think that this car date, you're going to end up with a franchise with this. What are your goals? Do you want to make sequels? Do you want to turn this into a webisode series or a cable series? Are you just leaving your options open? Is there going to be black car date, Asian car date, gay car date? Are you gonna go ahead and take the leap and show some sort of porn to where, are you gonna merge the two worlds, porn and the mainstream, to where it's like, hey, this is mainstream, you get this on iTunes, and then see what happens after the car date and look at that on aebn.com. What's going to happen? What does the future hold for Lacy Burke?
Well, let's say the movie that keeps going as well as it is going. And if you guys want to check out my website, it's a really nice website. It's cardatemovie.com. You can watch the trailer and a bunch of clips for free and read about exactly what the film's about. But if my movie keeps doing well and it keeps growing, I'm going to make another documentary. And I'll probably elaborate on this previous one with maybe some reality type of function. But I'm going to keep making documentaries. Documentaries is where I like. The next documentary I'm going to make is going to dive much further into sexual relationships, and it's going to bring my movie making to the next level. It's going to be a very interesting movie. I can't really give too many details about it, but I guarantee you all of the porn stars will love my second movie for sure.
What age range are you? You don't have to say your exact age. I'm curious.
I'm 34 years old.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you're curious because you don't even know me. You don't even know.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and, for those of you who have just joined, I'm not featured anymore, so our numbers are going down. But for those of you who tuned in a little bit late, I have no idea who Lacy Burke is. We have gone over. I've asked, are you the front man for like a corporation or an upcoming studio, or an individual? Lacy Burke says that he's an individual. He's a young filmmaker, up and coming. He's just trying to do his thing. He, has a little place in LA somewhere, some, secret location. And, but he's been very bold about his statements about wanting to reinvent the porn industry. He has disclosed to the public a lot, both male and female, whoever chooses to view his movie and his website, cardatemovie.com, a lot of psychological triggering techniques in order to get a woman to lower her barriers, to enable a guy to easily or more easily seduce her. And I have to still say that it would be a woman of a certain maturity level for some of these things to work, but we could argue about that forever. But the whole point is that I have no idea who Lacy Burke is. He's a mystery. He is not like VH1's pickup artist Mysterio or that Matador, who are actually very all about, hey, you must create your persona. This guy's different. There's no photo of him anywhere. I don't know who he is. Are we ever going to know? I suppose if you go on Oprah, you will. Then we'll know. But
I'm sure if the film gets bigger, people are going to want to.
I'll be curious to see who you are. Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to get to the level that it is. I built this platform for it, and people seem to like it. A lot of people rent it, and then they write me afterwards. Like, I answer all my emails directly. Like, if you write through on the contact form on the website, I will respond to you, because I really believe in, like, giving my fans my attention. I'm thanking them for renting a movie that I worked so hard to make. But yeah, you never know what I look like. And I made that choice before I even knew the movie was going to get to this stage and get to this level. I thought it would be much better if all you thought of me was that I was a brain. Because if you saw me, you could pass judgments on me as to why these techniques are working or what's going on.
Are you good looking?
If you never see me, then it takes that passing judgment away, because you don't even know what I look like.
Are you good looking? I have to ask, are you aesthetically pleasing? Are you good looking?
You know what? I don't know. I'm I'm like a 6'1" white guy, and I try to go to the gym and I try to take care of myself. But I think I'm an average guy.
Okay. Now, there's a few more rumors that I want to address, or not even rumors, but they're just out there on the internet. Now, I did notice that somebody made an entry in regards to you on ripoffreport.com. Do you want to address that? Do you have any idea as far as who could have done this? What's that about?
Sure. There was when I was first submitting car dates to the festival circuit before it got into Sundance and the Las Vegas festival, I was going to festivals that I was getting invited to, and I met a guy that I wanted to hire to help make me some videos to promote car day, like videos of me going out and picking up girls to promote my movie on YouTube. And so I hired this guy, and I told him, hey, I'll pay for half of your, he needed new camera equipment, so I said, I'll pay for half of the camera equipment, you pay for the other half. So I sent him a check, and I trusted him because he had a music video that was in the film festival.
Okay.
And then what ended up happening was he never got any of the equipment, he never wrote me back, he just took my money and disappeared. So I called him up, and I told him, you know, you don't even want to know what I told him, but I made it clear to him that I would find him. And he sent me my money back, and he was really pissed off for some reason, and he decided to run. You know what, there's a lot of people that want to work with you or want something from you,
Yeah.
but really they don't do what they're saying that they're going to do, and then they get pissed at you when you fire them.
Well, that's kind of the law of the land in Hollywood and LA. And now, are you a native to LA? Are you somebody who has always lived there, or are you from somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
okay.
And
Okay.
always been from here. And it's funny because I've grown up in the San Fernando Valley where this is the
Oh,
capital
really?
of corn. If you're watching out
So you've always been aware of that culture.
All of the
Huh.
kids. And so it's funny that I watched porn before I made this movie, but I didn't even recognize the girls who were in my movie until later when I realized that they're very big porn stars. I didn't know who they were, so it's really interesting.
It is very interesting. I'm not so sure I believe you, but I am taking your word for it because that's all I can do. Because one thing I did want to ask you, but you've already kind of answered it, but one thing I was going to bring up was, and I don't want to give away the entire movie, but the fact that you do hire two women rather than just one, I would have to wonder if Charlie Laine's comfort level and her demeanor would have actually been a lot more tense, and she would have kept her barriers up a lot longer if it was just her rather than another girl. Because one thing that, y'all have to watch the movie, but if you know anything about Charlie Laine, she has exclusively been a lesbian only performer. She's only done girl. I don't believe she's ever done a boy-girl throughout her career at all.
No, she did.
Did she?
Boy-girl movie.
Oh, she did one boy-girl movie. Okay, because I kind of wondered if the fact that you had another girl, if that was a ploy in order to bring her defenses down even further and more rapidly. I think it was, but some
No, the only
I
reason
noticed.
you have two women is because if you have one woman in the backseat of a car, there's no movie. The only reason the movie works is because you see these girls competing with each other to try to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you only had one girl in there, that tension of that story couldn't exist. You have to have two girls in that car to make the movie work.
Okay. Well, let's see. Is there anything else major that that I can think of to ask you? Really, not really. Well, I don't really think you. Well, you did kind of answer, but just to reiterate, did you wind up having any kind of sexual romantic liaisons with either of the girls post the movie? Or?
Right. That's probably what the number one question that I get asked about this movie is, did you fuck them? What happens at the end? Because the movie leaves you off where it says, where the girls say, hey, we're going to go have sex. But then I show no more footage. I just cut the movie off. And it'll be up to the girls to say what they want to say about the end.
Okay, now do you feel that in time, because I personally do, but do you feel that in time the girls will contribute their input to your website? Because as of current, and you've made notations on your site, as of current they haven't said anything, but do you think in time they will?
I don't know. Like, I have a feeling what will happen is if this movie gets bigger, they're going to eventually like soften up and realize, hey, this is really good for everybody, and they might be more open to talking about things. But if the movie doesn't get bigger, I'm sure they're just as happy laughing and snickering and saying, ha ha ha, this guy's movie is a failure, epic fail. I'm sure that they'd love that outcome too. So I guess we'll just have to see if as the movie grows, you know, if it keeps getting bigger. You know?
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, are you calling me from hell? Am I speaking to Lucifer?
Might actually be. I've done this on a lot of women. Control a lot of women's minds before.
Okay, now someone in the chat room made an interesting point. You know, you've repeatedly said that the girls are agreeing to, you know, they did what, or they fell in line to your psychological triggers because, you know, you're a master manipulator and you know your mind control stuff. But the question is also, you know, someone questioned in the chat room, or maybe were they laying their guard down more easily because they know that you're a television producer, or they might have thought you were. You know, are you sure your techniques worked, or what? Like, do you think that maybe you had a little bit of pull due to the fact that
whether you actually do have a little pull or you don't, that movie took 7 hours to film. Whether you're the biggest producer in the world or you're a nobody, if you go out with someone for 7 hours, you know if you're interested in them and if you're having a good time. If you watch that movie, those girls, I think that's the best date those girls have ever been on in their entire life. I don't think they've been on. I don't even know if they go on dates. I think
that they've gone on dates.
They've ever been on. That's like the first date they've ever been on, probably.
It wasn't the first date that they were. Are you aware of the ages of the girls? Because that's another thing I want to touch on. The girls do come off in the movie as, initially at first glance you might think the girls were maybe 21 or 22, but from what I'm aware of, Victoria White is currently about 25, and Charlie Laine, I believe, is 28. Yeah. That's another thing I did. That's why I wanted to say before, I'm not so certain. I would like to see a car date with women in mainstream jobs, actually, rather than porn stars, because, and a lot of women are going to hate on me for saying this, but I think a lot of porn stars, unfortunately, are proven test subjects of quite a bit of manipulation. But maybe not, you know, but that's just a thought. That's a thought.
But, you know, I didn't decide to make a movie about this because it was something that I did for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I decided to make a movie about this, I've done this many times at local bars. I knew what I was doing. I knew I was good at picking up girls. So, like, if you decide as a filmmaker, as a first-time filmmaker, to make a movie about picking up girls, you have to have some background in it, because otherwise you wouldn't even want to make that movie in the first place.
Well, that's true. That's true. And I think that, like I said, I think that you might wind up hearing either to work with or to compete with. I'm not sure how it's going to go down for you, but you'll probably be hearing from Mysterio and Matador about the Pickup Artist series, because I have to say this is the new Pickup Artist flick for 2012, and I can't wait to see what happens from here, because I think you're about to go on quite the roller coaster, I have to say. Let's see. Well, someone in the chat room says it's hard to gauge the filmmaker's intentions without seeing his body language as he speaks. Well, that's true. That's true. You know, now at any point, at what point do you think you would have to get to in order to go ahead and do a video interview? Because I would like to do a video interview with you at some point if you know, decide to.
I would probably only do a video
Wow, okay. Well, their resumes are on the website. Well, you actually have quite the top-notch group of talent that all contributed. You know, whether Charlie or Victoria like it or not, they both are fairly well-known girls, and they actually did come across on film pretty well. I think that you did a very good job narrating, and of course your idea, in my opinion, is so unique. It's brilliant. You know, I mean, your website that you have put together, it's very well organized. It looks great. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would think that this is something that's going to be on MTV. It's really that good.
A lot of people have told me, dude, if they put this on MTV, it would be the biggest thing on MTV. That's what people tell me. I've heard that from so many people. They're like, if you had a connection to get this on MTV, they would put it on. If you could get this in front of the person who does acquisitions for MTV, they would buy it. I already know. Well,
I think you know, porn politics wise, I think the only reason that this movie has not been more promoted is because nobody in porn that at least from what you've said, nobody in porn owns a piece of this. And the thing about the porn industry is, unless they own a piece of it, because it really is such a small, compact group of people. I've been there. I know it's a freaking mafia. But unless they
want to own it, I know. Everybody wants to promote things.
Yeah, and they're going to try to make a parody off this thing.
But they should realize that this is something for the porn level that makes the porn industry much better. Because if a mainstream movie with porn stars gets bigger, their industry is going to get bigger, and new doors are going to open up. So I wonder, you know, I know the girls are upset, but they really should. All these companies should support the movie and try to get me the connection.
Well, what I found interesting, and this is a bit of gossip, but you know, I notice everything because I'm Monica at home. I did notice, and actually someone who has been bothering me for quite some time, who knows that he should not contact me, especially via text, and I sent you the screenshot of it, had the nerve to try to dissuade me from interviewing you today. And he was saying that you were harassing porn stars. He's somebody who seems to be BFFs with Michael Whiteacre, who again is the person who shot Charlie Laine for those FSC PSAs. So it's going to be very interesting to see who from the Free Speech Coalition decides to approach you and when, because as of current, the person who runs the Real Porn WikiLeaks has tried to dissuade me from speaking with you and has tried to squelch the promotion of your movie, from what I can see. And he is BFFs with Michael Whiteacre, who seems to be the mouthpiece for the Free Speech Coalition. Yet you have Wicked Pictures giving you a positive endorsement in regards to this. And from what I'm aware of also, I'm pretty sure that Shy Love is a part of the Free Speech Coalition. So the question is, will the Free Speech Coalition endorse Car Date movie or not? And who will decide to reach out a friendly arm from the porn industry to the Car Date movie? Because from what I'm seeing, you are giving a lot of free advertisement to certain entities.
It's a complete advertisement for getting laid and porn. And it's mainstream. It's not done in a vulgar way. It's not disgusting. It's a celebrated movie that was promoted at Sundance, went to the Las Vegas Film Festival. It's like the best thing that they could probably have in their possession to promote their industry.
Well, look, one thing I think you should do if you want to make some extra money, not that you need to, but I don't know, I have no idea who you are or what your situation is. You might want to think about selling advertising space on your website. I'm sure you already have a blog going on. You know, there's a lot of things that you might want to think about doing. But I will be very curious to watch the progression of, you know, I'll be very interested. I'll be watching the progression of your movie. And I'm very curious to see where it goes from here. But please get yourself a good attorney and try to, or I'm sure you already have, but if you haven't, get a good attorney, because there is going to be some person out there, and I have a feeling I know who it's going to be, who's going to make a parody of this.
I want to say one more thing, is that I think it's a matter of time before the porn industry does reach out to help.
anybody. They don't help anybody. No, you're dealing with thieves, man.
No, but look, if that movie starts doing better and starts doing well and starts getting bigger, they're all going to know that supporting that movie is smarter than not supporting it, because it's going to make my movie is going to make their industry bigger. So even if they're thieves or what, I don't really know, but I know as a business person, if somebody has something mainstream that can broaden the business of porn, that it's a smart idea to want to help that grow. No matter what type of personality you are. And you know what, I met some of the porn stars, and they're really nice on Twitter and stuff. There's some that are jerks. But whatever, the point is that this is a broader reach than porn can get. Like when Sasha Grey was on Entourage, or you know, Katie Morgan had that HBO, like, pornocopia show. Things that get into mainstream with porn only help the industry. That's all it does.
Well, you are correct, but you're also very idealistic and very sweet, and I do hope that your beautiful picture of what you just verbally painted a picture of, I hope that happens for you.
It's a beautiful picture.
Well, it's a very pretty picture.
Where it is right now, and I don't expect anybody to help me. What I'm saying is...
Well, you are helping yourself. You are helping yourself. You are helping yourself. I think your marketing has been good so far. You know, there are a few things I think you should do, but I think that you are you've created something new. And just please, you sound very sincere. So safeguard your idea. If I see any porn studio out there steal this person's idea and make a damn parody. If you thought Monica at Home was investigated before, I'm going to show you something. So, you know, just do what you can do, get what you can get. But I thought it was a good movie. I had a knee-jerk reaction to it. There's certain things that you've said to where I do want to slap you, but at the same time, I love that you're a go-getter, and I do think whether you meant to or not, you've actually helped a lot of women learn some things in regards to how certain kinds of guys think and what sorts of things certain kinds of guys will do. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. But I'm very pleased that you've come on the show.
Movie.com, you can go check it out. And please, if you like it, tell your friends. Because, you know, I think that one of the reasons I made this movie is I thought it was a word-of-mouth movie. I thought it's the type of movie where you watch it and then you tell your friend, hey, check this out, you've got to see this movie. Because with no money and no marketing budget, you have to make a movie that's going to trickle by word of mouth. And you know what, if the porn industry decides they want to do a parody video of my movie, that means my movie's become very successful. So at that point, there's lots of avenues to which I'll be making money. So whatever happens, like, I work hard to create my brand. I hope it grows. I hope all you listeners out there check it out, and if you like it, I hope you tweet about it, I hope you Facebook about it, I hope you tell your friends about it, because it's a really cool movie. And for a mainstream movie to get into these types of film festivals and then be for sale on iTunes that star porn stars in it, there's nothing like it. But yeah, I'm a pimp.
Are you?
Yeah.
You might be.
Not in the real sense of the word, though.
You might be. I don't know. You're either a pimp, or you're someone from Mensa, or you're just some guy who's very intelligent, or maybe you're Lucifer. I won't know until later.
I like the idea that I'm the guy from Mensa. That's probably closer to... No, I'm not like some genius, but I like...
You're pretty damn smart, if you're one person. But you said that you are, so I'm taking that for what it is. But you know, I hope that this continues. I feel like I'm in a mystery novel. I'm happy over here. Maybe you did psychologically manipulate me on my own. Monica at Home. I don't know, but I'm leaving this happy. So everybody, if you want to see the archive of tonight's broadcast, I did record this on Blog TV, but I'll also edit this and throw some stuff in and throw it up on youtube.com/Monica at Home. You can also go to my official website. I'll try to have this up tomorrow. My official website for this broadcast is monicaathome.com. And you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Monica Foster. And remember, you can check this movie out, Car Date the Movie, on cardatemovie.com. And follow Car Date Movie on Twitter. His Twitter address is twitter.com/cardatemovie. So
look Monica Foster up on for her porn. She's fucking hot.
If you want to get off, hey, why not? It's out there. Nothing I can do about it.
No, and it's perfect for every single guy who wants to get off right now. Go check out Monica Foster. She's hot.
All right. Well, thank you. But I'm going to end this now, and thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions for Lacy Burke, you can always email him through the contact form on his website, again, cardatemovie.com. And, I'll talk about this a little bit later, I'm sure, maybe on Saturday if I decide to do a Monica at Home, or maybe the next Monica at Home. Who knows when it'll be. But I'll see y'all later. Have a good night, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.